Three, two, one. Lucas, we finally made it happen. How are you, sir?
Doing good, doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing absolutely fantastic. How is Bulgaria these days?
It's good. It's cold though. It's even colder. So I'm obviously from Denmark. I moved to Bulgaria recently, and it's even colder here, unfortunately. But I'm getting through it. It's good.
Really, even colder. I wouldn't have said that. That's cool.
It's a bit colder, yeah, but enjoying it.
Awesome. So, what do you do? Tell us.
So I run a lead generation agency. It's my main thing. So I run a lead generation agency. We've been mainly email for the past 2 years. We've now started to roll out a little bit more LinkedIn. We have some clients on that. It's actually been doing quite well for us, but I'd say 80, 90% of our revenue is all cold email. So that's our main thing. Cold email for pretty much any type of B2B business. I know a lot of people talk about niching down. What I've found is pretty much niching down with a model that's a very high volume email. You end up having competition between your own clients. If you have two clients that do the same thing and you send tons of emails out, you're kind of going to see competition between your own clients. Whereas we've niched down a lot on what we do, but not on who we work with so much. So,
Got it.
yeah.
And why did you join Submaster? Because we are a peak performance program. So you already had the business going on at a fairly good revenue. And then why did you join? Why were you looking for?
I think the biggest reason for joining was I got to a stage where things were going all right. I was doing, running a business that was all right. I had two employees. We were doing around 15K when I started, which was comfortable, but I couldn't really figure out how to systemize my own performance to be able to scale further and get more out of the time that I spent. Because I would find myself spending 10 hours at my desk and barely getting much productive work done. And like high leverage work as well. So I wanted to get something where I was able to get more work done and also the right work done to be able to scale past the goal that we have now is $100,000 a month. So that's pretty much what we wanted to get into.
Got it. And what made you realize that the solution was not superficial books or apps or whatever? Like, why did you go to the deep intervention that peak performance training is?
So I think what I like the most and the reason why I wanted to go ahead with it, because obviously a lot of what you do, Leon, is the same kind of stuff you'll see in the self-help books, the podcast, all that kind of thing. There's so many hours and tons of books you can read. I wanted something that was condensed down to what's going to be important to me specifically as a founder, which is obviously your performance institute for founders and elite performers, CEOs, etc. It's for me as a person and everything that you've taken pretty much all the knowledge, condensed it down, removed anything that's not important or conductive to what I do, given it all, streamlined it, made it into a format that I can follow week on week. That's a lot easier than trying to find the right podcast for this or that, and then obviously having the coaching aspect as well.
Got it. And did it work? What were the initial results when we started applying all the methodology and all the stuff that we teach you?
100%. Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of content in there, and I think focusing on just really taking the things that you find to work for yourself. Some things like, for example, breath work is not something that I necessarily really resonate with. But then there's things like ring fence sessions, which you teach about, which has been huge for me to be able to get more work done in less time and be more effective with the work that I do, and keep my energy consistent throughout the day. I know a lot of people have probably tons of calls. I've had calls all day today. It's 10 p.m. now. It's like I get up at 9 a.m. and I have to have energy until 10 p.m. You help us how to actually keep that energy consistent throughout the day so you're able to perform I don't even know, 11-hour workday without ending up just kind of dead at the end of the day. And just being productive the entire time. So
Got it. That's massive, right? That's absolutely
it,
crucial,
it is 100%.
especially for you because you're like serving clients around the world and you need to go to bed late. And
Yeah.
if you have to quantify the productivity, like in terms of getting things done, because Brain Fan session is like very effective because it really creates windows in which you work very hard, and that typically skyrockets productivity. So you have to put like a productivity figure to it. Do you do twice as much, or the have you scaled that across the team so it's more than twice? Like, how would you frame that?
I'd say I probably are able to like I'm able to get multiple times more stuff done, whether it's two, three, four times more stuff done. Like it's not only that, it's also declutters your mind a lot. Like the overwhelm that I used to get with just having a big fat task list and then just kind of, sitting down, try to get to work at it, work for 3 hours and then be like, okay, I'm still not done now. I'm burnt out. I can't even start working again. I need a break now. compared to, okay, I have these 5 tasks that need to get done now. I'll do those in this ring fence session. Once I'm done with that, take 20 minutes, do some meditation, do whatever, come back and then take the task list in that format. I found to be much better than just having one big list and thinking I need to get through the entire thing. It's not you can't do it in one session. Um, so I think that's worked really well for me. And then yeah, in terms of productivity, so much better. Yeah, multiples.
And how's the business benefited?
We've doubled. So we doubled in the first 6 weeks, which is great. And then
Damn,
there's
damn.
been on my own part, like obviously also with cold email, things like that. I think we started in August, which was around 15, and then September being around 30. So pretty much a double there. And then we've been somewhat consistent around that because of seasonality. Like Q4 is usually not the greatest time for cold email and outreach in general.
Mhm.
And I think I've also just had some internal issues, like in terms of like churn and stuff, which is something we're fixing as well. But yeah, just bumps in the road. I think we'll get way beyond.
But that's good that you mention it because that's always that's the road, right? No one can sell you on a obstacle-less road towards success. Literally,
100%.
the point is, it's going to be hard, but you can do it the average way, which is suffer every time, have wild swings in your performance, in your emotional state, and how you deal with things, or the elite way, which is the way that I teach you guys is, hey, tranquil, calm, collected, in control, putting the inputs, getting the output, optimizing. And this, the fact that you have sustained that when you things have come crashing down in the back end is a one more proof that you are a higher performing entrepreneur, which is very
Right.
exciting.
100%. Yeah. And I think even a block in the road to me feels a lot less stressful because I know that I have a framework to follow to say, okay, the issue is we have too much churn, for example. We work with you, obviously, it's actually what we're on the call today for is a quarterly roadmap. To build a quarterly roadmap to see, okay, the issue is churn. How do we put the right objectives and initiatives and projects in place to fix that issue? And how do we, like, what's the goal? We want to get, 90% retention rate, whatever it is. We know how to make a roadmap to reach that goal. If I have an issue, I know that I can just follow that same structure pretty much every time with a little bit of brain power, and then we can actually fix the issue. Whereas before, it'd be like, okay, shit, well, we went from 30K to 20K. What now? It's like you just kind of, well, let me try again, right? So there's a format to actually fixing your issues and your bottlenecks, which is great.
And it's universal, which is the most exciting,
Exactly. Yeah.
right? The size of the goal doesn't change the system, it changes the time frame, right? If you are to
Yeah.
build a 10 million business, well, it's gonna take much longer, but it's still a system. Cause effect relationships that you have to map out, tweak, optimize, and then you'll eventually get it if you keep putting in the right inputs. And what would you say to those that don't realize they need something like this? Because everybody's teaching them marketing, sales, like technical skills, which are absolutely fundamental to start your business. But at some point, you're going to hit a limit. You're going to hit the limit of your performance. You cannot focus as much,
Yeah.
you're not as motivated, you're not as consistent, you're burning out, things are not going your way, and you're negative about them. So you think about quitting. All that stuff is because performance is not what it should be. What would you tell them?
It's a good question, actually. Because I have a friend that I live with who I think would benefit a ton from going through the program, going through the course, but um, he doesn't want to do it because he's just the type of guy to sit in his chair for 12 hours a day and drink coffee and do cigarettes and get work done. But I think that there is obviously it's great that if you can sit down and do work for 12 hours, if you can then focus that on what you actually need to focus it on, your energy pretty much what's it called? Magnifying that towards one spot, I think has a huge effect on fixing your problems faster. Because obviously I think a big thing that you also go into is like if you look at the entire system, there's always going to be one biggest bottleneck. That's the one you should be focusing on. And I think sometimes being someone that is a little bit more chaotic with their work, you're going to see 5 different bottlenecks and just kind of attack all of them rather than putting all the energy into one thing and fixing the actual biggest bottleneck in the system, going one thing at a time. So I think the chaos can definitely put your energy in the wrong places. Whereas I think with you, helping people focus on what they actually should be doing, because I mean, you only have 16 hours a day that you're awake, you're sleeping for 8 hours, 16 hours you're awake, you have to probably get 8 hours of work done. Those 8 hours can be put in a billion different places. Even for me, I could do everything in the world. I could just start doing content on YouTube. I could start doing emails. I could start doing LinkedIn. There's so many different things you can do. Having someone to actually teach you how to pick which things to do is some of the most important part, I think, I'd say.
And actually do it the right way with full focus in a flow state. Because most people also get distracted every 6 minutes. If you look at the research, it's just wild. Like just no actual performance within those 90 minutes. So they very well maybe better doing nothing, right? That's really sad
100%.
if you think about it, because time doesn't come back.
Yeah, I agree.
Got it. And if someone is on the verge of joining, like they don't know if they need this, what would you tell them?
Um, I'd say like to me the decision was super easy. I mean, I'm not sure if discussing pricing is obviously it's a pricey program to go through, but if it even increases my performance by 10%, that's paid off in a year. Imagine for the rest of my career if I just follow that. If it even increases my performance by 10%, it's like it's undeniably it's going to be a good ROI. If you get 10% improvement in your performance for a year, the rest of your, say you work 40 years, there's no way it doesn't pay you back tenfold, in my opinion.
And it did in the first few weeks, which is fantastic.
Yeah,
And the best thing is that it compounds, dude. It compounds. So the
exactly.
same frameworks, you know them now. You know how to
Yeah.
self-audit yourself and do the things, and that's really exciting.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's like I'm personally very into, I mean, I say I'm into education. I never did anything uni related, but I like to learn new things, obviously. And I think learning something like this, which is again, it's universal. I could use it for, say, I want to even do like sports, for example. I can use the same frameworks to get good at sports. I can improve my performance there. I can improve it for future businesses that I run. It's not tied to the business that I run now or the position that I run now, right? I'm CEO now. Let's say I were to go in as a CMO in a different company, we use the same frameworks. So it's universal. It's compounding over time. It's yeah, I
It's
think it's
brilliant.
upside.
I really love that you joined and you had such crazy results. And what's really most inspiring is how young you are and how much decades of compounding you have ahead of you.
That's excited for that. Yeah.
Dude, that's incredible. You think about it, because athletes, everything that we teach you is, there's a lot of sports psychology and periodization and how they learn, but athletes have this peak window of 2 to 3 years in which they're really at their peak and they really have to max themselves out and win everything they can. The average athlete, the freaks of nature like Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, Tom
Yeah,
Brady,
yeah,
that's a different matter. But for most athletes, right, you really have to nail those 2 to 3 years. And what's even worse is that they're playing a close game, right? Just only one winner of the
yeah,
UCL, right? Or whatever. But in business, there's no such thing as a prime. You're consistently learning, consistently getting better, consistently moving upwards. So right now, you are the worst you are ever going to be. And that's
yeah.
exciting, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think the amount of time that I have for to use this for, as you said, an athlete, maybe the career's 10 years total, and they're even tapering off at the end. Like I can use this forever until I'm 55 and still be running it and still be using the same frameworks, improving on them, having it compound over time. It's possibility is huge with it. Yeah.
A lot of the mental training that I teach you guys is thousands of years old and is done by people that are in their 90s. So 55 is young
Yeah.
in business terms, right? You can do it for nearly forever, which is exciting. Anyway, Lucas, absolute pleasure as always. Thank you for jumping in. Thank you for sharing your experience. And now let's make sure you have the most elite 2025 that we could ever design together. All right?
Good stuff.
See you, man. Cheers.